Welcome back to this explainer. Today we're diving into something that is literally a game changer when it comes to human psychology. Look, if you've ever poured your absolute heart and soul into someone, only to feel like you were just pushing them further away, man, you are definitely not alone. Today we're going to decode the often painful dynamics of relationships, the hidden mechanics of attraction, and honestly the true transformative power of just walking away. It's kind of tough to talk about, but by the end of this explainer, I promise you're going to have a completely new perspective on your own worth.
So let's jump right into the core paradox we are tackling today. It's this bitter reality that so many guys face. Why is it that the very second you completely stop caring, pull your energy back, and genuinely start living for yourself, that's the exact moment she suddenly shows interest again? I mean, you put in all that unreciprocated effort and it got you absolutely nowhere. But the silence? Well, the silence speaks volumes. To understand why this happens, we kind of have to toss out those romantic movie tropes and look at the raw, unpolished psychology of human behavior.
Section 1. The illusion of chasing and the bitter truth of attraction. We're all conditioned to think that giving someone absolutely everything will eventually win them over, right? But the reality, well, it's a lot more complicated.
The bitter truth highlighted in our sources is that overinvesting actually tanks your value. When you make someone else the absolute center of your universe, you stop being a prize. Think about the available guy. He's sending paragraph-long text messages, ditching his hobbies, and just perpetually waiting around. Honestly, this suffocates attraction because there's zero challenge. It's just too easy. Now contrast that with the high-value guy. This guy sets boundaries, he builds his own life, he doesn't reply instantly if he's in the middle of something. He shows that, yeah, he might want her, but he absolutely does not need her to survive. And you know what? That independence is just incredibly magnetic.
Moving on to Section 2. The paradox of attraction, logic versus emotion. The absolutely crucial thing to wrap your head around here is that attraction simply cannot be negotiated.
You literally cannot use a spreadsheet, expensive gifts, or endless availability to logically convince someone to feel a spark for you. Attraction isn't a rational choice. It's a visceral, gut-level instinct. And for that instinct to survive, it actually needs a little bit of uncertainty. It needs a challenge. The source material uses this seriously powerful analogy. Does a lion ever beg a deer to come closer? Just think about that for a second. A lion commands respect simply through its presence, its quiet confidence, and its undeniable strength. It doesn't run around frantically begging for attention. True attraction stems from that exact same patient strength, not desperate chasing.
Okay, so this brings us to Section 3, the shift and the magical power of distance. This is the exact moment the entire dynamic flips on its head.
Let's walk through this psychological journey step by step. It almost always starts at step 1, the heartbreak. The begging, those super long messages trying to fix everything. But then comes step 2, stopping communication entirely, the detachment phase. Step 3 is the absolute pivot. This is where you channel all that raw, painful energy into hitting the gym, focusing on your career, and just leveling up your own life. You're pulling all your energy back into yourself. And guess what? That creates a massive void for the other person. They suddenly lose that constant stream of validation you were giving them, which naturally leads right into step 4, the intense curiosity that almost always results in the inevitable text.
Let's look at how this usually plays out in the real world. 6 months. According to our sources, this is the classic timeline. 6 months after a breakup, a guy has finally found his stride. He's hitting the gym, crushing it at work, and he's completely let go of the need for her approval. He's genuinely found his own happiness again. And what happens? Out of absolutely nowhere, his phone lights up.
But hey, before you pop the champagne, we have to talk about Section 4. The ego trap, because when she reaches out after all those months of silence, it is rarely some magical realization of true love. Actually, it's almost entirely about ego.
Yes, the classic text, "I've been thinking about you." Man, it sounds so sweet, doesn't it? It feels like a massive victory. But remember this stoic warning. This return is usually driven by a bruised ego and a sudden loss of control. This text is quite literally a psychological test. It's a ping to the radar. Her ego is struggling with the fact that the guy who used to be completely under her emotional control is now out there thriving without her. So she's tossing a line into the water just to see if he'll still bite. She just wants to know if she still holds that power over you.
To make sure you don't fall blindly right back into that trap, you really need to recognize the stark differences here. On one side, we have the signs of ego, reaching out just to check for control, or texting out of pure boredom exactly when you show you've moved on. On the flip side, the true signs of love are totally different. They involve consistency, unwavering loyalty, and continuous effort.
And I mean continuous, not just effort when it happens to be convenient. True love doesn't just pull a disappearing act and then randomly reappear the second it feels like it's losing its grip on a power dynamic.
So, what's actually going on in our mind when you completely detach? Well, it triggers an absolute internal panic. Because you've removed your constant validation, she starts to question her own value. The emotional control she was so comfortable having, suddenly gone. The real tangible fear of loss is finally triggered because she realizes you aren't just bluffing, you've actually walked away. But most importantly, she finally sees your true independence. She realizes your happiness never actually depended on her approval in the first place. And ironically, that is exactly what makes you highly attractive again.
Which leads us perfectly to our final and honestly most important point. Section 5. The ultimate victory. He who moves on wins.
We've got to completely redefine what winning actually means. It is absolutely not about playing some 4D psychological game of chess just to get a girl to text you back. No way. True victory is about completely moving on and getting yourself back. The focus must shift entirely onto your goals. This is where you take that raw, chaotic energy from heartbreak and rejection and you funnel it straight into ironclad discipline. Whether that's finishing your degree, starting that business you've been talking about, or mastering a new skill, let your ambitions become the absolute loudest voice in your head.
Next up is your health. The source material heavily emphasizes these incredible success stories of men who started hitting the gym when they felt at their absolute lowest. Building physical strength literally does wonders for your mental fortitude. It forces you to focus on your body, your breath, and your own undeniable progress. You aren't doing it to show off to anyone. You are doing it to forge a vastly stronger version of yourself from the inside out.
And finally, your wealth. Now, this isn't just about chasing money for the sake of it, right? It's about building an independent, secure, and rock-solid future. It's about creating a lifestyle where you are the undisputed center of your own universe. When your goals, your health, and your wealth are perfectly aligned, you become completely immune to the emotional games of others. Why? Because your foundation is built on solid rock, not on someone else's fleeting validation.
Which leaves us with this final question to really ponder. Will you stay trapped in the past, endlessly overanalyzing someone else's actions and settling for breadcrumbs of attention? Or will you take back your power, move forward, and actually win? The exact moment you stop chasing external validation is the moment you become truly unstoppable. It's time to detach, focus on your own incredible potential, and start building a better future for yourself. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this empowers you to take that first step forward. See you next time.